Today, I'll be teaching you guys all about the second best way to get, but the best way to grind out ores, which is boss rotations. Boss rotations, unlike trading, takes constant focus in order to get the most out of them. While having a good boss rotation is going to be more ore efficient than not having one, it requires actually grinding the game for long periods of time instead of just waiting 10 minutes, then killing all the tier 5 bosses, then waiting for 10 minutes again, killing them, and just doing this loop over and over. With a good boss rotation and decent kill times for them, you can expect to get around 8 tier 3 chests and 8 tier 1 chests. If you have worse gear and no friends to play with, you'll probably get closer to 6 of each. With the drop rate of ore being 1.5% in tier 3 chests and 1% in tier 1 chests, you won't be getting much more ore than you do from just tier 5 bosses, but it is still above a 20% chance of getting an extra ore per boss rotation. This number may vary depending on your kill time, your boss route, your bonus drop rate stat, but along with the chance to get extra ore, you're also getting more drops which can be sold for ore. The main drops to look out for are all of the mythic items, which includes the beast katanas, flame katanas, insect katanas, mist katanas, scythes, Banagaru masks, Tigris warding masks, Tonakai Keikai masks, Yatagarasu masks, Uncertain Times scarfs, Keshoseki necklaces, Akai Kumo Haoris, Boroboro Haoris, Ichimatsu Haoris, Kendenshi Haoris, Murasakiro Suto Raipu Haoris, Tokusen Haoris, Frost Touched Cloth, and Skinned Hide. Along with all of that, you can also get the occasional straw hat, which you can get from the tier 1 bosses. However, you shouldn't sell the straw hats, but trade them for ore, because they can be worth a lot. It's annoying to burn in the daylight as a demon. Next up is the most important part of grinding bosses, the boss rotation itself. Before you decide on a boss rotation, you have to first understand the difference between a boss rotation and just farming tier 5s. Boss rotation makes it so that you are always fighting a boss at any given time, and if you aren't, you are traveling to a new one. When choosing which bosses to go after, you have to keep in mind the distances that you'll have to travel to get both to a boss and to a horse so you can fast travel. Out of all of the bosses in the second world, there are only 5 that you should loop between. Those being Muichiro, the Sound Trainee, the Snow Trainee, Enmei, and the Nomu Bandit boss. The other bosses are too far away, which makes them not worth the time. I went and timed how long it takes for you to get from a warp spot to the boss and back to a horse for each of the potential bosses to be added to your boss rotation. I also timed some of the other bosses that were close to being able to be added to your rotation, but it turned out they were not worth it. It takes 4.62 seconds to get to the Nome Bandit leader from the Nome Village warp point, and 6.71 seconds to get to the nearest horse while using a speed build and dodging. It takes 2.89 seconds to get to him while using Slayer sprinting, and 4.55 to get to the nearest horse from him. It takes 2.69 seconds to get to Muichiro from the Mist Trainer warp spot, and 5.13 seconds to get to the nearest horse while using a speed build and dodging. It takes 1.83 seconds to get to him while using Slayer sprinting, and 3.16 to get to the nearest horse from him. It takes 13.36 seconds to get to the Sound Trainee from the Sound Cave warp point, and 6.47 seconds to get to the nearest horse while using a speed build and dodging. It takes 9.98 seconds to get to him while using Slayer sprinting and dodging up the slopes because that's faster than sprinting. I'll talk about that a little bit later. And 4.13 seconds to get to the nearest horse from him. It takes 2.25 seconds to get to the Snow Trainee from the Snowy Place warp point, and 9.88 seconds to get to the nearest horse while using a speed build and dodging. It takes 1.41 seconds to get to her while using Slayer sprinting, and 6.23 seconds to get to the nearest horse from her. It takes 8.11 seconds to get to Enmei from the Frozen Lake warp point, and 2.16 seconds to get to the nearest horse while using a speed build and dodging. It takes 4.98 seconds to get to him while using Slayer Sprinting, and 1.51 seconds to get to the nearest horse from him. He's a bit of a special case that shouldn't always be in your rotation, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. Now, we'll go over the recommended rotation. You can loop in whatever way you want with whatever bosses you want, but here's the rotation that I run with. I start with the Snow Trainee, then head over to Muichiro, then to the Sound Trainee, and finish it off with the Nome Bandit Leader. The exact order doesn't matter, but these are the 4 bosses that you will want to do in your normal rotation. There are some augments you can add to make it more efficient. I'll talk about that later. This is the best rotation for groups who can kill the bosses quickly, as it gives just enough time for the others to respawn. However, it can be improved just by adapting what time of day it is. Because demons only spawn at nighttime, you'd expect them just to not be worth the hassle. But because Enmei is so close to a warp point and a horse, it is very worth it to replace someone in your rotation with him. Because the Sound Trainee takes the longest time to get to and from out of all of the bosses, and is the most inconsistent with how quickly you can get up due to the ramps that you have to dodge up, I recommend replacing him. But if you'd prefer to get a tier 3 chest over a tier 1 chest, the other recommended replacement is the Snow Trainee, because they take 1 second longer to get to and from compared to the Nome Bandit Leader, and they have a sword which can cause clashes, and they have some moves that give them iframes. Knowing a good boss rotation is only half of getting the most ore possible. The second half is actually using the boss rotations. Just going and doing 4 rotations through the lower tier bosses won't maximize the ore you get, because most of it comes from the tier 5s. What you want to do is get either a phone or some kind of 15-minute timer ready that you can quickly start as soon as you kill the first tier 5 boss, and then just cycle through your rotation until the timer goes off. Of course, just using a timer won't cut down on the time while traveling between bosses or make you kill bosses quicker. All it does is tell you when to start doing your tier 5s again, and it lets you keep looping if you kill them quick enough. Another small problem is breathing, but there are a few small pieces of tech that you can use to speed up your boss rotations, those being quick swapping loadouts, dashing up slopes, and breathing or moving while warping. To quick swap loadouts, you don't even need the game pass because you already have 2 loadout slots. All you need to do is set them up correctly. In one slot, you'll want to have your speed loadout, consisting of a Banagaru mask, a Vigilante scarf, a Kesoseki necklace, a Nosuke bottoms, a Tengen uniform, or a Wind Pillar uniform if you're broke, and a Tokosen Heori. In your hat, shirt, and lantern slots, you can equip whatever you want there. Those slots don't have any items that boost your speed. In your second slot, you will want to put your best damage gear in, but change out a few items, those being your mask for a Yatagarasu mask, your pants for Doma bottoms, and your Heori for an Ichimatsu Heori. If you pay attention to the video playing in the background, you can see when I quick swap to my speed build, just after defeating a boss. You can see that even though I am changing my loadout, I'm still running towards a horse. It's not super important, but it does cut down on how long it takes for you to get between bosses. Swapping back to your drop rate loadout is slightly more difficult, because you have to take into account the aggro range of the boss, how long you take to swap loadouts, how fast you walk in your drop rate loadout to gauge when you should start swapping. You'll just have to get used to it while you practice your rotations. There aren't many tips I can give you. Dashing up slopes is only needed when going to the Sound Trainee, but all it is literally dashing up the ramps in order to get to the Sound Trainee slightly faster. Why dashing is faster? I don't know, but it is. I think it has to do with dashes pushing you a set amount forward and not taking up into account, but I don't know. Now, this next step isn't necessary if you're a demon, because it's mainly focused on breathing, but I would suggest watching it anyways because you can move when you would be breathing. We all know how annoying it is when you get to a boss but have no breathing bar. To fix this issue, there are 2 times you should be breathing: when you're teleporting and when you're changing loadouts. When you use a horse to teleport, keep in mind that you can both move and breathe while the screen is white. I prefer to breathe during this chance, but if you are a demon, you can try to move in the right direction. Keep in mind that while you are warping using horses, it only changes where you are, not where you're facing. So, if you know which way you need to go, you can face that direction before you teleport in order to run the right direction immediately. You also have to keep in mind that it doesn't immediately teleport you. If you go too far away from the horse that you're warping from in that time, you will not get teleported. It takes about 1 second from when you press the button to actually get teleported, so a majority of the time the screen is white is just pointless, but it does give Slayers time to breathe. Now that y'all can do good boss rotations quickly, you should be getting as much ore as possible. Just remember the 15-minute timer and your rotation. With those two, you'll be farming tons of ore in no time. Maybe not as much ore as I have, because I've been playing the game forever. And I also got most of it from trading, which is the best way of getting ore. Anyways, subscribe, because at 1K subscribers, I'll be giving away a tier 3 polar weapon, and at 2K, I'll be giving away a tier 3 devourer weapon. Join the Discord, because that's where the giveaway will be, and that's all for now. Have a good night, and see ya.